Council meeting of October 22nd, 2012 to order at 7 p.m. Everyone please rise for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call roll, please.
Sturritt.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Conan.
Here.
Bullock.
Here.
Baylor.
Here.
Cooper. Here. Audie.
Here.
Okay, everyone has their agenda in front of them tonight. Are there any additions, deletions?
I need to add $495 production reimbursement.
We're going to put that under new business, letter D.
I need to add, it looks like it got left off, Armada Lions event schedule.
Actually,
No, it got left off because the chief still has to approve them. I
He's
just
on
emailed you
vacation.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was on the agenda.
it didn't go through the
It's not
process
done yet. When
No, it's
it's
an
back.
agenda item, I put it on last week, or 2 weeks ago.
Well, we can put it on and
Okay.
just say that, we just said it though.
Okay, so letter E is Armada Lions events. Any other additions, deletions? Is there a motion at this time?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Mr. Sturt,
No,
is there a second?
amended.
Amended, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I wrote for
I'll
time.
support.
Support by Mr. Ballard. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Any citizen comment on non-agenda items? Any citizen comment? Hearing none, we don't have a presentation tonight. Administrative reports, we have our F&V report. Mr. Sturritt?
Chuck, do you want to start? Go right ahead.
It was a busy month, as you can tell, in September. We had 6 alarm call-outs. One at Colonial Street Pump Station. That one's unexplained. It has to be a power problem. Because we got there and the motor starters were actually kicked out, and we don't know why. Because they were reset, and the station's been working fine ever since. So that's unexplainable. I think now we have the devices that were causing the alarms at the plant are straightened out now, we believe, and it's been kind of quiet for the first 20 days of October.
The wet well is listed here, several of the call outs, and even in the month prior, Chuck had them come out and back it. And last week, I talked to Ed and to Chuck, and Metro came out and was gonna they gave us a quote doing, because there's 3 or 4 things that we have backed out. The sump over by the water treatment plant, our wet well, the Colonial lift station. I think those are the 3 things. So we're trying to see if we get pricing and get it on the same cycle as the other items that are getting backed out. Doing more preventative care versus waiting until we get 4 or 5, 6 alarm call outs to start fixing something. It's the grease building up, it's in the description here, so we're improving that.
So just to let you know, we did factor that one for the water treatment here. I just remember signing the bill from Ed, so that's
Yes.
already been done.
It actually was done like the day before,
Yeah.
when I talked to Chuck and Ed. So yeah, we missed it by a day, but they did come right back out. And Chuck had just had the wet well done a couple weeks prior to that anyway. So if we went 3 months out and had them come out and do all 3 of them, because they can do the wet well first, do Colonial, dump it in our drying bed to dry, go do the sump at the treatment plant, the water treatment plant, and then take that off site.
That's a good idea to get it out.
So we're trying to see if we can work something in to get better
Yeah.
pricing,
No,
just so you know.
Perfect. Any questions for Chuck or Mike?
And our flows are much lower than normal still, which is good.
I'm sure that has a lot to do with the drought, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah, it does. Unfortunately, I don't know where,
yeah,
we can't tell where your problems are now.
right.
So,
I know
Right now, we
my,
don't have a problem.
Yeah, right now we
That's a
don't.
good thing.
I know my sub pump in my basement, I went and looked at it over the weekend. Side note, it's completely dry. I filled it up with several buckets of water to fill it up to make sure it was running and there wasn't a problem, and it's bone dry again. So my guess is that the ground is just That's a guess.
Yeah.
So,
Anyone have any other questions or comments? Any liaison reports at this time?
I had one, just to continue on with my S2 grant application from Giffords. Scott has prepared a response to Dennis on his 6 questions. An official response, I did speak to Dennis Ryan, and Scott has also spoke to Dennis Ryan. If anybody would like to see it, do you want me to read it? It's 2 pages long. It's just changing the wording in the S2 grant application, added the 10 manholes for the creek, all that kind of stuff. So if you wish to see it, I already forwarded it to Michelle. I don't think I want to waste your time unless anybody would like to hear it. You're
Well, it's
more-
here, I can always make a copy and
You're
stick
more
it
than
in
welcome
everybody's
to it.
box if you want it.
But nothing out of the ordinary, just what the plant capacity is, the fact that we are going to give grading of 4s and 5s on the actual product, the pipes, so it's structural, not just I&I. He wanted all the sewers lined. I talked to him, so did Scott. We're not gonna line them all, it'd be a waste of money. But he wanted to hear that from us, that it's too new to check. The creek, which we added the 10 manholes, how to water treatment plant backwashes. So it's just a description. And then what happens if they encounter an obstruction, go back out and go from the other way. So now Scott has the okay, and council doesn't need to approve it because you guys have given me the authority, no pricing's changed, and Scott's gonna resubmit the S2 grant to Lansing, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions for Scott or Mike?
I have one at least, well, mine would be on planning though.
Okay, let me put on my other hat.
Yeah.
Okay, planning.
Yeah, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
The dollar store.
Yes?
Um,
You really would like to see that open up, wouldn't
Well, I
you?
get questions on that. There's a lot of people that
She's on
anticipate that.
Facebook. You can get updates on Facebook. She's been updating Facebook.
You know what the latest is?
The last I heard was Armada, but then I heard that there was a lot more cleaning they had to do after that. So I don't know what the new date was. They were hoping to have it open by Armada, but they didn't make
What's
it.
going in there?
Dollar.
Another?
Yeah.
Do we know what kind? Dollar General, Dollar.
It's-
It's
I
on
don't think
Facebook.
I don't think it's a franchise. It's called.
No, it's not. She's called
private.
Armada Discount Dollar, I think is what she called it, or something
I think
like
it
that.
is. On Facebook, it's an actual parent company.
Oh, is
But
it?
she's gonna name it her own name.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that helps with pricing or
Mhm.
distribution of product.
So,
I can find out maybe a little bit more and let you know.
I know I've seen more shelving and stock going in,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's about
Right.
it.
right.
And, do you have any kind of like update on on Larry's? It's kind of a big project going on in town now. People are asking about that,
Well, we-
timing and all that.
Planning approved it.
Right, I just didn't know if you had any
Other
timing or anything, right?
Yeah.
I just thought you might have something.
No, I don't have
I asked
any-
Ben about it, as far as the one at the south end of town.
Yeah.
He said December, it should be wrapping up by December, he told me
Okay.
today. So, that's the only timetable I asked him for.
It does appear that they're working pretty hard on it,
Mhm.
you know, quick. Sorry, I don't have any more
Yeah.
information.
I noticed in the thing, it did not say anything about the demolition of the Ketchup and Mustard House, but it was known as that for a long time.
The Burger House?
Yep,
Yes.
because it was
See, I
color
know
of ketchup and mustard.
Oh, okay. Did you know that, Steve?
No, I didn't.
I didn't know that either, Dave. I think you just called it that.
Everybody down our way did.
Steve's
Steve's
close
not
to you,
here,
I
right?
didn't know.
I'm just up from you.
Mr. Conan, I'd like to comment on the fact that I know it is Art and Ruby Shots House.
Oh boy, here we go.
All right, are there any other questions? Any other liaison reports? Hearing none, moving on, the consent agenda is in front of everyone. It's the approval of the regular council meeting minutes of October 8th, 2012, and the payment of bills. Are there any additions, deletions, or is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, I'll move the consent agenda be accepted as presented.
Motion by Mr. Ballard, is there a second?
Support.
Support by Mr. Clark. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next agenda item is under old business, Spencer Street. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, Mr. Ballard, this is your agenda item?
Thank you. Well, I've got some good news. The Spencer Street project, the contractor has submitted the final payment application, contractor's declaration, and the contractor's affidavit. And pending our approval at our next meeting, we'll be paying out for the completion of Spencer Street. The Spencer Street paid to the contractor, Spencer Street budget paid to the contractor, and it came under the allotted $182,389.50 for a total paid to the contractor of $181, yeah, really.
That's right in the budget.
$181,251.89, so we were under budget by $1,137.61. And so we'll be paying that at the next council meeting. That'll come on scheduled bills. The DDA sidewalk removal and replacement, the construction began Monday, October the 15th, with substantial completion of the project still slated for November. The First Street and East Main Street portions of the project have been substantially completed, and the contractor is now working his way through, way west through the village DDA district. So that's where we're going to be. The 2015 bridge grant, we have an update on that. I know everybody's kind of been holding their breath on that. The Prospect Street Bridge project was selected by the Metro Regional Bridge Council and placed on the list of projects to be funded through the 2015 local bridge grant. This is only step one. Now, then there's step two, where they put all these things together and see how much money they're going to divvy out. Okay, but that second step will occur probably the next meeting of the local bridge advisory board, slated for November 1st. So we'll know sometime in November, maybe December. I'd probably look for December for the final where all the bridge projects are brought together and they review the funding from the state. So we're probably looking around December sometime. Maybe, Merry Christmas, we'll get something there.
I know we've been on that list for quite a while. I know Kathy got that started back a few years ago, so that's a good deal.
So anyway, and that also, and Scott, I do believe that's also going to take care of our culvert up there.
It's included in the project.
That's included in the project, so that's going to be all timing.
So when you put those all together, though, that's going to be a several $100,000 project, right?
Was it
I think
400?
400 some
Or
thousand.
$500,000.
For both
Yeah,
together?
Together it was around, I think,
I want to
500,000.
say 500,000, something give or take.
Because in the past, when you said past president Stork was involved in it, it was probably just the Prospect Street Bridge alone.
Right.
Now we're adding the culvert on.
Well, we've always wanted to do the culvert.
Yeah.
Right.
And this kind of really falls in place, kind of a freebie, because they can't do one without having the
Right.
other one
Right.
done.
And I think that when we said that it was beginning to be a safety factor, and it would be a safety factor there when that bridge went out, because you have people that are trapped there. They
Right.
can't get emergency vehicles in, they can't get out. So now it becomes a necessity, and so that's where it fell in. And it, just good timing, I guess, I don't know.
Then the lower load ratings too.
Right, and we lowered the load ratings on the Prospect Street Bridge because of the condition of the bridge.
Right.
And that right there kind of vaulted us into this project, so that's what I
Do we know what the matching funds are? Is it a percentage or?
It's, for construction and hard costs, they cover 95% and it's a 5% match. But it does not cover any soft costs, which are like engineering and inspection.
Okay,
Well,
But
even
construction
at that, we
costs.
could not
You can't pass it up.
pass it up, no.
no.
But that's what, even said, it was very specific in the grant, it's for construction only.
Great, thank you, good job.
95, that's not. So that being said, I will pass this one.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay.
Lyle, do you know when they have, I know you said that it was coming up, but do you have an idea in the next week or two when they're gonna be around Cozy and Squirrel Away Bookstore on the sidewalks?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure if they're going from the sidewalks to Cozy and then down Church Street, or if they're gonna do Church Street
You know,
first and then
that's
go
one thing that we leave to the discretion of the contractor,
Yep.
because I'm one that never tells a contractor how to do his work.
Well, they're already doing Church Street now.
Yes, I
Yes.
don't for miles, right?
If you
Oh, I
happen to
didn't know
get
they had
that
that
info,
part.
They started
Michelle, would you
yesterday.
call me? I get questioned on that quite a bit.
Okay, yep.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Perfect, thank you. Moving on to new business, the DIA Inside Out program. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none. It's my agenda item. I just wanted to let everyone know that we did receive a request from the DIA to fill out the application form to be put on the 2013 list, which I have done. I also spoke to the new superintendent of Armada Schools, Mike Mussery, and he is 100% on board with this as well. Hoping we can do something together with the academy and the middle school, because they're all within village limits, about putting some artwork up there and maybe even doing some special projects with the academy through it. So I think it'd be a great thing. I submitted the application and we won't hear anything yet for about another month or two, but I just wanted to let everyone know that I did submit for it. Does anyone have any questions on
Will
it?
this be similar to how it was
Yes.
before?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, I thought they would probably want to put it to other municipalities or whatever. I mean, I'm all for us having
Yes.
it done. I just would be surprised if they would do it 2 years in a row. But
Right.
It would be great.
I would welcome it,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
So the schools are 110% on board with us, so it'll be a nice little avenue for them too.
This is great, Sherry, and they're all gonna be in the village, right?
Yes.
Not like out in the,
No, I sent this in as the village president for the village of Armada, because I don't have any jurisdiction on the township.
because last time we only had one, right?
Oh, there were a
We had-
couple.
we had two.
There were a couple,
There was a few.
yeah.
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 We had a few in town, we didn't have any input to where these things went, but,
Now we
I
will.
think we had at least 3. The old
Yeah.
fire hall, the side
Township
of the
office.
dollar store, and down at the.
Township Hall.
yeah.
And the
The
greater
library.
library.
And
Oh,
the
the
township
library.
hall had one.
Yeah.
The library, yeah.
Oh, all right.
So there's a few of them.
The big thing was that we had no input.
And the schools were
Yeah.
overlooked too,
Yeah.
so
Oh, they,
they weren't real happy. Anyone else have any questions? All right,
Do you know when you'll know?
in the next month or two. So, all right, moving on. Municode quote to codify recent ordinances. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, village clerk, this is your agenda item.
I brought this back because we kind of got stifled at the last meeting about it. Just under $1,100 that Municode quoted for codifying was for only one ordinance. It is a huge ordinance, it's 53 pages, so that's why it's so expensive. The other ordinances that I thought were being quoted until I got looking at it closer are all zoning ordinances, so they're not going to be, they don't affect our code of ordinances. So I brought this back. We don't have to do this right now. We can wait until next budget if you prefer to wait until next budget. I don't know that we're gonna have any ordinances coming up. It's my preference to wait and codify like 2 or 3 at once rather than doing one at a time. It's just we haven't done this in a while, so, and they just set at Municode, they set they have a section that's called now, which just means they just hold the ordinance in the written form. They don't put it into the code of ordinances and codify it. So that's where the ordinances are. They're still available to the public. You can still go on and look at them. They're just not they're just not codified yet.
Rotation.
Right,
Michelle,
yes.
is there a time limit where we get in trouble if we don't put something in?
You know, they haven't said anything about that yet. They could. I usually don't like to let them hang out there for years.
Right.
I like to do it once a year. The ones that are, the other 3 that are zoning ordinance related, I need to talk to Ben because I believe that McKenna is going to give us a new zoning ordinance book. So we have, then those would be codified, and those I really wouldn't have to keep with Municode
Right.
unless we codify the zoning ordinance, which we talked about doing before. I just don't know if budget-wise we should be looking at that right now until maybe next budget.
Okay.
I think it would be a very nice feature for the residents to be able to go on and look at the zoning ordinance online, just like they can our code of ordinances, and search. It makes it a lot easier for them to be able to search. But right now, we're only looking at the one ordinance. Again, it's a 53-page ordinance, so it's a big ordinance. But the cost that they quoted me was $1,097.25. That was only good until October 15th. I don't know what the cost is today. But I didn't know if you guys were interested in going forward with this, or if you want to wait and put this in the budget for next year, or...
I would much prefer putting it in the budget next year.
And did you, because Ben was mentioning he was gonna be redoing some ordinances too. Yeah, so we may wanna hold off on it
All right,
anyways, because I
I'm
thought
fine,
he
I'm
said.
fine with holding off. Yes.
I have a question. This Unicode, does every municipality in Michigan use it? And the second question is, how many people, do we know how many people are using it? Like, do we have hits?
No, I don't know how many, I don't know if we have hits or not. But we do reference that to people very often. It's hard for all residents to be able to get in here while we're open, you know, so that's just another opportunity for them to be able to get the information they need. Not that we couldn't make copies for them or, you know, answer their questions, but this way, if they want to just peruse through the, you know, the code book, they can. But, you know, right now, it's, and there are, I believe there are other businesses like MuniCode, but I don't know, I mean, I can't imagine if we were to move to them, from them and go to another one, what that would cost. I mean, if it costs this much just to codify an ordinance, I can't imagine what moving your entire ordinance book over would be. I mean, I'm happy to question that. I don't know how, we've had MuniCode since I've been here. I don't know how, if you guys remember when we codified it.
I don't remember.
I mean, I know it's been codified since.
When Jerry was here.
Oh, no, you did, because it was here, yeah, I inherited it, yeah.
Hmm.
Actually, I cut back on the number of copies we were getting because they charge you by the copy. So I only get one and I copy it and just put it in everybody else's books rather than paying $967 for 53 pages and get 12 copies. That would be outrageously expensive. So, I mean, if you'd rather wait, we can bring it back at budget time. It's not anything that they're telling me we have to do yet. I mean, if they call me and say, hey, you have to do it in December, then I'll bring it back. But if you want to
I
wait.
guess I'd just assume, especially if
Yeah.
Ben's talking, there's some other stuff.
Yeah, because if there's gonna be more, it's my, and that's why when I sent them in and there were 4 of them, I thought, well, we'll just get the price for the 4, but they said we're not gonna even quote the other 3 because th're zoning, they're not in code book. So I can bring it back at budget time and we can talk about it then.
Bring back the budget.
So.
Thank you. All right, next agenda item is leaf burning in the village. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, village clerk, this is your agenda item.
Okay, the only reason that we're discussing this is because I've had several residents ask me. The maple trees, if anybody has maple trees in their yard, they have these black spots for them. That is called tar spots of maple. I asked Ed about it when I was questioned by the residents because they were under the impression that the only way to get rid of this disease of the maple leaf is by burning it. The village has a burning ban, and it was put into place for very good reason many, many years ago. I don't know that that's the only way to get rid of it. I was told by somebody who investigated a little bit further that as long as the leaves are picked up and vacuumed up like we do, that in a few years it'll take care of itself and it won't. What happens is when your leaf falls on the tree, these spores get into the ground, which then go into the root system, which then come back out into the leaf. Is how I understand it. I could be wrong, so if anybody watching knows that I'm wrong, that's the way I understand it. I am not a tree expert in any shape of the word. But I do have a maple tree, and I've been noticing this on my leaves for at least 3 years. And I do notice in June, they're already crumpling up, you know, and I lose leaves early on that tree. Whether it's deadly to your tree or not, I didn't read anything that said that it's a disease of the tree, it's a disease of the leaf.
Yeah.
But because I was asked by several residents, I thought I would, just bring it to you and, I don't know if you want to consider lifting the ban for a year and letting burning happen, if you prefer to just keep doing what we're doing and see what happens. Again, I don't think it's gonna kill all of our maple trees, but I don't know that. I'm not a tree expert. So when I talked to Ed, Ed was under the understanding that burning was the best option for getting rid of it. But I know that we have residents that have lung problems. I know that it's very hard on asthmatics when there's smoke in the air like that. If anybody lived here when we did burn, I know a lot of you remember, it does get very smoky. It gets very thick. And it was put into place because of the people that had issues. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I don't think there's anything that could be done for this year. Jeff and I talked, and he said really, he says he would rather see it be done as an ordinance amendment rather than just, ignoring the ordinance for a year and letting it happen. I think if you do it once, people are gonna assume they can do it every year. I think it'd be kind of hard to manage. But it is a concern. We have a lot of maple trees in the village, but that's.
My question to you though is if the problem is that the leaves are soaking back in.
Mm-hmm.
If you burn them, you have to rake them into a pile and burn them.
Mm-hmm. You burn them on the street.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to get rid of them, you rake them, put them at the curb, and our DPW sucks them up and takes them away anyway. So what's the difference?
I do
When
not
they're sucked
know.
up, when they're sucked up, the spore is released when they blow them into the nail. Okay, you have to remember that when you're dealing with a spore, and I've talked to a botanist about this, and when you take these leaves and you grind them up, you blow them in there like we do with our vac, you release spores. Okay, those spores go up, and where do they go? They go back down under the ground. They're harbored there during the winter, and then the spores come up in the form of mold again, and they're released into the air and get on the leaves of the trees. My suggestion on this is do like they've done in Romeo and Richmond and New Haven and Memphis and every other town around, is instead of leaving it in the ordinance, take it out and make it a policy. Okay? It seems like our maintenance always want, well, put an ordinance and that's it, it's cut and dried. Now what do you do when you get into a problem with your trees? All right? When the only way to get this is to burn this stuff off. Now, if you read in here, it says that, yeah, you can spray the trees. Well, I don't know anybody that's gonna make sure that every leaf on a 100-year-old maple is going to be covered with a fungicide. It's virtually
How you can reach
impossible.
it.
Right, so, and not only that, you talk about a colossal waste of money for anyone. My suggestion would be, we're not gonna be able to do it this year because it takes time to repeal that section of an ordinance. But repeal that section of the ordinance with wording that says in the ordinance that it will be placed year by year with policy dictated by the council as necessary. Something to this, because that way there it's gonna give you some leeway. Another thing, it's gonna take about 20 grand out of the street department and put it back to where we can use it in roads per year and roads and sidewalks where it's needed, other than picking up leaves and stuff like this in the fall. It is, and we're looking here in the next couple of years of getting, if we're gonna continue this, spending more money for a new leaf vac. Wait a minute, we're just taking money and funneling it down the drain here when somebody with a nickel pack of matches can, and it's over with. Just a thought.
Wouldn't burning it do the same thing as releasing the spores in the air?
No,
I think it destroys.
they
But
destroy.
the whole thing is when they suck them up,
Mhm.
I guess what I heard from the same person that came in and talked to Michelle and I was that when you suck them up, you have to make sure that the area is clear of the leaves,
Right.
and then it won't get back into the root system. Whether you burn them 2 times a year, 3 times a year, if you still have leaves at the bottom of that tree when winter comes, you're gonna get those tar spots back again.
You can.
So you have to be proactive, either sucking them up or burning them, from what I understand.
But then, if you read on in this paperwork here, it says that the composted leaves must be covered. All right? So that the leaves are on top, the spores are not released. One way to take care of it. rake them out, burn them. It's done.
Right, but it's,
Even in the wild, you have forest fires that take care of these things naturally.
well, I understand that, but we do have people that live in our forest that aren't able to breathe in the stuff that,
Yeah.
As much as I used to enjoy burning leaves, there's many people that don't know how to do it right.
And I agree with that.
I mean, they're half wet, then you get a fire that smolders all day into the night. When it's dry, you put a match to it,
It's
it's
gone.
gone in 5 minutes.
I can remember citizens in here crying.
Yeah,
Because,
oh yeah.
me, I also love, I love burning leaves for two reasons. One, I have a lot of leaves. I have a lot of trees, so I need to get rid of them. And that was the easiest way, even easier than how we do it now. And then two, I just love the smell myself. But that enjoyment doesn't even compare to the suffering that asthmatic people and people have other breathing problems. You know, granted, yes, to have clean air, we have to have a vacuum system, and we do have to spend some of our budget on it. But I think it's money really well spent. But the thing of it is, you can't ask you if that was good money spent because you don't have a breathing problem. You can't ask me because I don't have a breathing problem. When Mrs. Weiss lived in town, you could ask her. She could tell you what the difference
I
was.
certainly can ask members of my family who have breathing problems, you know, they'll say, well, if I don't like it, I'll just leave when Dad burns the leaves.
Well, the thing of it is,
it's not possible for little kids.
Steve hit it too. One, everybody doesn't burn their leaves when they're good and dry. You know, you break them leaves when you can. And if they're a little damp, well, you know, this is when you could do it. I mean, I burnt damp leaves, and I think anybody that burned leaves at a time was burned. And we would have a smoke thing around that would hang in town.
Well, there were times you couldn't even see driving down the road, especially
No.
in
I
Fulton.
remember Halloween
Everybody
night
burning.
that it was,
Yeah.
Fulton
You know.
Street was like a fog, you couldn't see across the street.
And this ordinance that everybody had to have an ordinance, it took a couple of years before we did this. This is not something that the council jumped in. It took a lot of pushing. It took a lot of pushing to get me to vote for it. The vacuum system is why, the reason I said I would go with it. Plus, it's pretty hard when you got people out there crying because they're having a tough time breathing.
Maybe we could compromise and allow burning on 1 day a week.
But still, if it's
I
raining
guess
that
until I
day.
hear more information
Yeah.
that we really have to go this route because it's hurting things, then I'll think about
Now,
it.
let me
But
ask
right
you,
now,
the
I say we
town
leave
is surrounded by forests. Even if you burn every leaf, which you cannot get every leaf, but if you burned every leaf, will the surrounding forests still infect your community?
But you don't see it in the woods.
You know, I don't know. I don't know.
It's not out there. It's not in the woods.
I see these more on my
Well, they don't.
soft maple trees than my other, the greener ones, whatever you call them. But,
And I don't know how prevalent this is in town.
Well,
I can look
Ed
online.
said that almost, well, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna say
about all of them do.
every maple, but darn
There's
near
the
every
majority
maple.
of them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at least we should really make sure we research it to know what the true alternatives are.
Well, I
there
just, like I
still a-
said,
Maybe,
just,
just like you said too.
Is there still a tree committee, Steve?
Steve.
Yeah, and I did ask Nancy and she's still interested, so
Okay, maybe the tree committee could look at it?
how about an extension club or some other health department?
Michigan State Extension.
yeah,
Something
maybe
to help,
contact them to see if they
Yeah.
have some recommendations they could give us.
Yeah, that'd be
If
great.
anything.
People crying.
Okay,
But
well,
for-
like I said, I'm not asking you to do this, I just
Well, right
had
now I say
people
half
ask
the
me,
leaves are
so-
down.
Yeah, now it's-
We can't do anything this
You
year.
can't do
but-
anything this year.
No.
Right.
You gotta,
But again, if we're gonna do something, let's not wait till September to make a decision. Next
No, you should
September,
make it
then
in
that decision should be made.
Well, I think
No.
it should be another well, it would have to be because you're rescinding an ordinance, but it should be a public hearing to get public input.
And on the other hand, I know the guys have been working on the leaf bank, it hasn't been, because
yeah.
as I came in the town, I thought, oh, they'll be gone, and they were still there, and they had some
Oh,
stuff they had
part
brought
of
in,
the after
cards
another.
and stuff. And I don't know what the vintage of that, it's gotta be at least 12. What's the?
That's the
Ed
second
said
one we
12.
got, isn't
The
it?
ordinance was from 90, what did it tell you?
Yeah, I was just gonna look to see what that was.
97,
Yeah.
so that's 15
That's
years.
the second or third one we've had, isn't it, Steve?
No, I believe it's still
Is
the
it the
one,
only one we've
the
had?
only one we've
Really?
had, yes. Yes.
So you think it's about 15 years old?
It's
Very
about
lucky it was
15
even
close,
close to
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Could be getting close to that, and I don't know.
Yes.
well, it was
Well, the
passed,
council at that time passed it 7 to nothing. I see Clark, you were here, you and I.
well, it was built in, it was passed in September of 97. So I don't know what you did that first year, if you got the leaf back the next year or went out and bought one that year.
I think
but-
Terry Rooney's wife had a lot of trouble.
Yeah, well, I know Terry really pushed it.
Yeah.
He did.
And
She had
Jerry.
a lot of problems.
You know, being that that equipment's 15 years old, maybe a new one, which might be in the future, would have better way of keeping the spores from going in the air.
Well,
With
I think
technology.
it's just the shoot into the back
Once
of
you
the
shoot
truck.
it in
I
the
mean,
back of the
yeah,
truck, it's fine.
it's not an
Yeah.
enclosed deal. There
Right.
is dust
Yeah.
in the air when it's doing
Oh, it
that.
is.
And I
It's
can only
messy.
imagine there's these minute little spores flying
Yeah.
Yeah.
around.
Right.
So,
Well, I'll contact the
happens if
MSU
there's-
extension.
20 leaves left in your yard, does that cause any
well,
problem?
that's where I,
Because you don't get every leaf, you know
Well, this
that.
report
That's why I
says the
think we
more
should-
of them that you get out,
Yeah.
you keep reducing.
The chance.
that's where I like, if we can
I must
contact.
not get my leaves up because
Yeah.
my tree
Yeah.
has
They have
them
Michigan
every
State,
year.
they'll
Right.
say something.
Well, I didn't do
Yeah.
anything about mine last year. I had more on my trees this year than I had
That's right, I
last year.
have to agree with this year.
But I didn't do anything about it last year. I didn't know what they were.
But
Okay,
it even seemed earlier too this year, right?
Yes.
Yes, oh no,
They
they
come
come,
out.
it comes out in the summer because my leaves start curling in the
About
summer,
June.
so.
all right, so you'll
I will-
call the MSU extension and give us an update then, Michelle?
Yep.
Thank you.
I don't know if it'll be at the next meeting.
No, that's fine. All right, next agenda item is the 495 production reimbursement. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, village clerk, this is your agenda item.
Everybody's tired of listening to me talk.
Yeah.
At the last meeting, you
Aye.
didn't have to. At the last meeting, we approved a special event permit application for 495 Productions to go into Memorial Park and tape or for their show. I took a $500 deposit from them. I need to reimburse them. My question to council is it your favor that we reimburse them the whole 500? Would you like me to keep out Jeff's costs, which I don't think are gonna be much more than, I'm positive they won't be any more than 25. I think they'll be under 25, and reimburse them for 75. Do you want the whole thing reimbursed? I know that we had a little bit of discussion on council, and a few of you felt we shouldn't have to take a deposit, so I just need to bring it back to you because I have to reimburse them tomorrow. So that's just my question. What do you think? I mean, my time, I know Jeff is big on administrative costs, but I get paid. It's not that, and I don't charge back anybody for processing a special event permit at this time. So I guess I just wanted to know your opinion and how much we should reimburse. That's all.
I'm of the opinion that we hold the 25 because this could just be the start of some stuff. And if we don't do this now,
Then you're setting
then
precedent.
you're setting,
Okay.
and it's a small amount, but we incur costs.
If you want, you can make it whatever amount you want. I'm just telling you, I think Jeff's cost will be like $16. I mean, 25 is being generous, but I don't have his bill yet, so.
I'll move to reimburse 495 Productions in the amount of $475 for deposit reimbursement for filming in the Memorial Park.
Motion by Mr. Audi, is there a second?
Support.
Support by Mr. Willick. Any other discussion? All those in favor, do we need, it's not spending money.
It's money.
It's money.
Okay.
Audie,
Yes.
Wolof,
Yes.
Stewart,
No.
you threw me there. Conan,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Baylor.
Yes.
Motion
Thank you.
passes.
We will take care of them tomorrow.
Thank you. All right, the next agenda item is our Armada Lions events. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, Mr. Audi, this is your agenda item.
Can you pass those down to Dave? I attended the Armada Lions board meeting last week, last month. They were given some information by another elected official that's not a member of our board that had some partial truth to it, but was a little confusing. They're very upset about our process. They feel it's too difficult. And there are a couple of people there that don't really like the way we're doing things. So one of the things I'm trying to do, and they're really mad about, is this year during White Cane, we approved a PAL Camp Four Corner sale during White Cane Week, which is a national thing for the Lions Club, and they missed out on the historic average, which is usually around $1,000. So I know we can't approve everything until 2014. We'll have to post insurance requirements for the Lions Club, but what I'd like to do is approve this schedule, because these are reoccurring things the Lions Club does every year. And then they would have to come in and run it by Howard and Ed, to make sure everything's on the up and up for each event. But it wouldn't have to come before council, and we'd be able to guarantee them these dates, because that was what they were most upset about, that other fundraisers could happen, during big things like Goodfellows and White Cane, which are a national thing for Lions clubs throughout the country and state.
Well, right now, I have no, that's a new one. 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, you got that.
Did we approve the Halloween
No,
parade
not the
yet?
town tree, I'm sorry. We already approved the
Yeah, we
Halloween
approved
parade.
that.
But I have at least 4 applications up through the White Cane sales.
You got one there. You got that one,
Those are already done.
that one.
These are,
I don't have that one.
That's holidays, tree lighting. Oh,
No.
town tree setup.
No, on the 24th.
we usually block off that little area where we set up. So this was just, it's not to, it'll be giving
We're voting
pre-approval.
against our
And everything about that, yeah.
Well, this should be part of the new, I think as we grow, this could be part of our new policy where we can approve events ahead of time as a council, reoccurring things that are common that we do a lot of. And then it would still go in front of Howard and Ed.
Yeah,
They would just have to make sure everything was set for that.
but at least those dates are locked in for them.
But right now, that's what Joe's been working on with Jerry. I
And-
mean, and I have
But
them,
it
we're
seems to be
just,
running smooth. They don't seem to have an issue with anything as far as getting applications in, getting it locked in. And
Why should they have to come every time?
no, and that's what Jerry and I worked out. We've got
because we
everything
can't
all.
see Michelle, not Jerry.
Jerry.
Oh, you're Jerry, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about me.
Oh, no, Jerry, finally.
Yeah,
We've been talking about the old clerk.
So,
Yeah.
everything is all just kind of template, and it's just add the insurance to it, put the dates to it.
well, again, I just like
But I
to see
think
us
2
reserve
years,
these
3 years in
dates for them.
advance is
Which
monopolizing.
we're gonna do at the
things.
next
that's-
meeting.
Well, first of all, anybody that's got a history in Armada, no, there's no organization that's more for the community. I'm not,
Right,
I
I
all of
absolutely
them,
agree.
Nobody
all of them
disagrees
do a
with
lot
that.
for the community, and our community's better because of our organizations. But
Absolutely.
the Lions Club has done
Absolutely.
so much, and they're tied in with a national organization.
Yep.
And I see no problem in going
Yeah,
out.
every
and-
January 1st, give that year's schedule.
Well,
But
that
they
would be
go
fine, but
and I think that's
not
fine,
asking
but
them
not
to
2,
come
3
in
years.
every,
No,
that's
we're
what
not.
We're not.
We're not, and we've worked that out with Jerry, so that everything is all done, it's all processed. All he's gotta do is, once a year, get that insurance for each of those events.
Was
Jerry there
when you were
at that
meeting?
Yep, this is what the board wanted. There's actually 8 members on the Lions Club board. This is what they all approved. So I'm gonna make a motion that we allow the Lions clubs to have these dates, and they'll be pre-approved by council pending approval by the chief of police and
Carrie, you can't
DPW.
rattle it that fast. There's no way that I can write
Would
that
you
fast.
put a, some kind of, through what year?
2014.
I don't wanna go through 2020.
Get that?
Okay, allow Lions Club to what?
Wait, all right, go ahead and make your motion.
Yeah, because you already made it, so I
Discussion.
gotta write it.
Allow Lions Club to hold the following events.
All
Okay.
right, if I put that in a motion, there's not gonna be anything that.
Do you want to just say on file, or how would you like to word it?
I don't know, Harry, I didn't expect this, so I didn't have anything.
Well, I asked
prepared.
for it to be on the agenda 2 weeks ago, so we should have expected
And
it.
I emailed you and told you it couldn't be because I had we were waiting for Howard to get back to go through the approval
Howard was back.
process of I just got these. I just got them before the day he left, day before he left. To hold what?
To hold white cane sales, the Halloween parade, the town tree setup, candy cane sales, holidays and parade, Goodfellow sales, and the Santa Day parade
Okay,
from 2012 to 2014.
Okay, motion's on the table by Mr. Audi. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Conan. Any other discussion?
it's my opinion, if you're gonna do this, we're making exception. We're gonna have to just get rid of the whole policy. And if that's council's
And what if
wish,
you make changes,
you
and the
cannot,
next guy
there's,
that comes in has gotta abide by the new changes, but this group doesn't because they
This-
tagged it in for the next 2 or 3 years?
the whole purpose for putting
Well,
together the
let's-
special event policy was that
Now,
we
somebody
were
comes
accused of
here and
not
they
being
say,
fair.
we want Memorial Day. Now, isn't somebody gonna say, wait a minute, that's when the AMVET's parade is? Or are we gonna say, well, you asked for Memorial Day, you can have Memorial Day?
How has the chief of police always handled that? Usually, these just went to the police chief and he approved the dates.
Usually, we didn't even have this. This is a new
No, how
thing.
was it done in the past?
But-
The police always know when there's
They
a parade
used to
date.
just,
That he had to find people to work the shift,
Mhm.
get it okayed with them, then he would approve the event.
Right,
He had the right to tell people no if he did not have the staff or the budget. to
I
do
guess
so.
I never heard of him turning down the homecoming parade.
no,
never
and
turned
he
down
wouldn't, but you just threw out a
the
new
Santa Day
event,
or
or a new
turning down
scenario.
anything.
It's
Right.
not necessarily turning down an event or parades, for instance, but the thing is, depending on timing. Now, we always know the ambulance is always in the morning, they're done probably before noon. Now, if something comes up in the afternoon, there's nothing wrong with it. Some other organization had another an event.
True.
So I don't question that part, so.
Well, again, if this is the way you want to go, then I would suggest to council that you don't make other organizations follow the policy. Because you're not being fair, and that's exactly why the policy was created, was so everyone was treated the same.
We
My
are
I don't see
feeling,
what
my
this is
feeling
again.
is that we
Because
do
we haven't
not,
gone through the process, Dave. I have the applications for almost every one of these in my drawer, waiting for
And
Howard
we're
to
not
get back
saying
from
they don't
vacation.
have to apply. All we're saying is these dates are reserved for the Lions Club and council won't have to vote on them.
You'll have to vote on the special event policy if we're gonna follow our
Or can we just
policy.
preserve these dates? That's what they want.
Not at this time.
Well, that's not,
Okay.
that's not how your motion.
Yeah,
reads.
no, it actually does. Allow Lions Club to hold all these dates
Clear through 2014.
clear through 2014, and from now until then.
So basically, your motion, Mr. Audi, is just to get them on the calendar, but they are not totally approved events until they get the paperwork, the
That's
insurance,
what he
the
said.
That's what
approval.
I said.
Well,
They're
I'm
gonna have to-
asking
Yeah.
clarification, I don't need to be cut off.
All they're gonna have to do is post their insurance and get it approved by Chief Howard and
They're
go
gonna have
through
to
the
turn
normal
in a
part.
special,
And
yeah.
And Joe's been working on that, and she's had some drawn out, and that's great, actually. That's exactly what they need, and we're not giving special treatment to the Lions Club, because if any other group wanted to do this, I'd be happy to approve it, if they knew what they were gonna be doing out till 2014. I mean, I know the AMVETs have their, not clover sales, what are they, the poppy? I'd be
That's
happy,
the VFW.
or VFW. Is that AMVETs? I'd be happy to approve that for the next 2 years.
And I'm not opposed to doing this for the Lions, I'm just saying you have to treat every organization the same way.
That's true,
And
and we're glad to have the
that's-
other ones do
Yep.
the same thing. They still have to turn in their
But if-
insurance and all that. No one's,
And it still has to come to us for approval, because we have to make sure that
So what
chief has a
happens when-
staff on duty to cover these as well.
all they're
When the
doing
next
is
group
allowing
wants
them to
to
reserve these
reserve
dates.
dates for the next 5 years. Maybe the next group wants to reserve them for the next, well,
Well,
actually, they said Lions Club wanted to reserve them for the next 20 years.
Well, we think 2014 is pretty practical because that'll be when council's done. It's through our council terms, so everyone here. And the other thing is now Howard will know when the Lions Club plans on holding their events because we've given them a sheet here.
And all they've got to do is turn their applications in January 1st every year. There, they know.
I'm with Joe here. I thought our policy, or our plan of this thing was that come January, there's a time frame when everybody submits the weeks
Yep.
that they want on a calendar. What's
That's
the
the plan.
difference?
Right.
Why are we deviating from that? We haven't even given it
We
1
haven't
year
even,
to try
it
it.
hasn't even happened yet.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You're changing the system before we've even
We're
tried
not
the
making
system.
a change to the system.
You are too. You're accepting it prior to January. We're in October.
But there's nothing in that special event policy that says it has to be in January. It doesn't
That's
say
what
you
we all
can't
say here
reserve.
talked about,
Well, we
Harry.
talked about
But
it at the
it's
last
not
meeting.
what the ordinance says.
It's not.
I don't think it is.
It's the policy, yeah.
I'm just saying, but you can't go back and say, well, they're not approving you on these dates. What we
Right.
planned to do was in January, every organization bring their events that they know ahead of time. Council check off those dates, make sure there's no double conflicts, and then they go through the normal chain of command.
And I even told them they can come, I said, if your big worry is not getting your event, you come to the January meeting. The first council meeting in January is when we would officially get them approved. If there's someone else in the audience that wants their date on one of their dates,
It's already taken.
then we can go ahead and make a decision as council as to which event is gonna take precedent, which I can almost guarantee you would be one of the Lions events. I told them that. Darren Kraus even said he has no problem submitting something in the January when we sat down before this whole thing blew up. He even said he had no problem in January. He said, you guys are making a mountain out of a molehill here. So when I was at that meeting,
Well, and as I said, I have the applications for all of these events, with the exception of the town tree setup. That one was not part of it. But I have through the White Cane sales in April in my desk, just waiting for Howard's approval.
and the reason
That's
why
where
White
we're at.
Cane got approved is that no one here on council, including yourself, you were
knew about
here, knew about the official White Cane date.
Yeah.
Had we known about it, we wouldn't have approved it, Harry, but we did not know
Yeah.
about it. That's the reason why we're doing this policy,
I have a
is to make
question.
sure it doesn't happen again.
Jerry Wyland's name was brought up as a meeting with you or something, Joe. The thing is that, was he on this 8-member committee?
He sure was.
Well, he should know what they talked about before then.
Well, and I think that's what
And if
he
you-
was
if you
attempting
agree
to
to
do
that,
by meeting with Joe and
knows that,
getting these done.
And I'm not saying we deny it, and I don't have no intentions
You
of
know,
one
Harry-
iota of a second.
Maybe, maybe you should go back and talk to Jerry.
Okay.
See if he's in agreement with that and that, if that meets the, what the Lions would like.
Well, and actually,
I'm glad to go along,
Gary,
but
we could actually
evidently
get-
nobody
Joe
here
could actually
thinks
get all
more
of
than a year
those-
is a good idea.
Joe could actually get all of those applications done before the next meeting.
Okay.
They are
I
done.
mean,
They're sitting on my desk.
Well, then,
To my estimation, there's 7 board members here, and all 7's gonna vote for anything the Lions put up.
sure.
Sure they are.
I have for years.
And
I don't think they're gonna
nobody's
vote for
saying
the
not to, Marvin.
2014.
No, Marvin, nobody's saying not to. Absolutely
That's
not.
right.
I'm just saying
That's what I understand.
the applications are ready. They could all be ready for the next meeting.
They're not gonna go.
Well, since council's not gonna vote for it, I'll rescind my motion. And
I'll
let the Lions
rescind
Club
my
know.
second.
Okay,
I'll move to table this till the next meeting, that way it'll be on the agenda.
okay,
Support.
okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
I'm sorry, that was
Motion
Ballard
carried.
and Bullock?
Bella, no, I've read it. Everything's there, we approve the whole 9 yards.
Okay. And by the next meeting, we would be able to have all these dates through 2014, have applications for them, and they'll be ready to
We're
go.
done.
Yeah, the only one that Jerry's gonna bring me information on,
Was
is
this
the tree
town tree
setup.
setup?
Yeah,
That's just to let you know that that's the day they're gonna be putting the tree out.
Yeah, I don't know if they
Well,
will.
that's not even an event, that's, I mean.
That's really not.
You know.
Well, that, I mean, and that, I wouldn't have, I didn't even consider that, to be honest with you, but if
No, because they just come in, they
you
just,
feel
It's a
it's an
courtesy
event, it's an
thing.
event.
yeah.
But-
They do a wonderful job.
Oh, absolutely.
It's awesome,
Yep.
super, whatever, so there's no further
Correct.
talk, I feel.
Absolutely, that is agreed.
Okay, that concludes our new business. Any upcoming agenda items then? We have the Armada Lions events.
Larry Schwartz has asked to have his property combination, parcel combination brought to council. Council approves that.
Whose agenda item is that? Can't remember what it is.
No, I mean,
Would be treasurer.
They're combining two lots.
two
right?
lots,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
That always
Joint
comes to council
parcels.
for approval so that we can give it to the assessor and the assessor can
Yeah,
assign.
make it planning commissions.
Well, that's planning, right?
You're just being
It's
quiet
not
over there.
planning to bring a parcel together, you were gonna charge of parcels.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Well, property owner request, just follow through on it.
And what was
Quite simple.
yours, Lyle? You had one coming back.
Oh, yeah, the
pay-
payment
payment.
app for
Spencer Street.
Spencer Street.
Well, then,
And Michelle has the backup.
Yep.
back to that, the approval process of combining two lots, then what, do we have to advise the township because they're the ones that do the taxation?
He needs
A letter.
approval from the council, minutes,
Yeah.
letter from the clerk saying
And
that,
then he just takes that into the assessor?
and then we send it over to the assessor
Okay,
and he combines the lot and gives it one identification number and one address.
Jeff doesn't get involved in this at all?
There's no reason for him to.
Okay, I'm just asking.
This should have been done, council, all before. Any work has been done there at all, because the lots are together now.
probably
You know, quite simple, just come in and do it. I mean, I've done it myself before. You come in and do it, and that's it.
Wait, planning approved in building without the lots being correct? Or
No, the
split?
lots are correct.
Lots are correct.
Descriptions are
They're-
legal.
The
But the
description,
thing is, the building shouldn't have been started until it was combined.
well, who allowed him to start building?
He has to send it
He's
to
started
them.
Yeah, started
building,
building.
Oh,
he has a demolition
Okay.
permit.
Demoing it.
Yeah,
He has a permit for that.
yeah.
He started construction because there's depth.
Oh, yeah.
That is construction.
Should we have a special meeting then and just knock it
No.
out for him? or-
Scott, is it? I mean,
When there's no work being halted as a
I've been
result.
around this stuff a little bit before, so it is.
Okay.
And I combined property before too, so I know.
Okay, well, it'll be an agenda item on our next agenda. Is there anything else? Any other upcoming agenda items? Hearing none, any citizen comments? Hearing none, any council comments?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
It has been brought to my attention that there was a rumor started that we have a contractor working in the village, that it was said that he was apparently going to be going out of business before our sidewalk project was completed. I've checked into this. That rumor has no validity to it, and anyone who started that rumor should be ashamed of themselves, and I'm glad to say it did not come from this board. But the contractor is well, he is viable, and I wouldn't worry about it anyway because we have a performance bond and a completion bond. So I'm not worried about any contractor deciding to cease operations during our sidewalk reconstruction in the DDA district. So let me put that to rest. Okay?
Thank you.
I had a resident call me today and ask me to just make a public announcement reminding residents that dogs must be on leashes when they're out and about. If your dog is out and if it has to go potty, you must clean up after your dog also. So I told her that I would make a public announcement tonight, so please make sure that your dogs are on leashes and clean up after them.
Any other council comments? Hearing none, community events, they had their shake their mailbox day, but we didn't have a meeting in the meantime, so everyone who has their mailbox, going out there, give it a good shake, make sure it can withstand the snow plows coming through. It is a Macomb
That's what
County
you're
thing.
talking about.
You gotta
Shake the
hit 'em with
mailbox.
Shake your mailbox, make sure that all pieces are on there correctly, and it is ready to withstand the cold, hard winter and the snow.
But what are we
If you
gonna
hit
do
it
with
with the plow, it's
our
done.
construction on Spencer Street? They loosened up our mailboxes and they didn't tighten them up properly.
Well, then tighten it up, Mark.
Take a sledgehammer and smack it, Marv.
Are there any other community events? Hearing none, we don't have a closed session tonight. The time is 8 o'clock.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Wallach.
Support.
Support by Mr. Ballard. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Sounds like a good idea.
Very, very good idea.
No, I
That would have to go out and take pictures of people sledgehammering on my mailbox.
Yeah.
Almost a drunk tie on there.
You know what, you should